Hello everyone, welcome back and thanks for being here. And don't worry, I'm not going to create any horror or thriller content over here. This lighting setup is all about today's topic. Like I'm going to talk about low light shooting because most of the people asking about how to choose the right camera for the low light shooting, especially when it comes to a documentary filmmaking or filmmaking or even a wedding filmmakers. Because especially whenever you're shooting your candid films, very important is you want to shoot with the available lights because the moment you lit up to the subject, they will get your attention and that candid moments you might miss that. So in these conditions, you need a camera which it will be helpful to shoot with a higher ISO. Then there's no compromise in the quality. So you want to choose the right gears on this particular time. So in this video, I'm going to talk about more about low light and other stuff. So that's why I lit up in this way because right now I have been filled with this one candle. So there are cameras which it can able to shoot with just a candle light. So let's see the cameras like FX3, FX6, A7S3 because these are the cameras I majorly work with like my documentary projects, filmmaking projects, or even the YouTube content creation kind of stuff. So I will share some of my works which I recently done with FX3 and other cameras, and also how these cameras are more powerful when it comes to low light. So without wasting time, let's get into the video. Yes, back with the normal lighting condition. As we discussed earlier, I'm going to talk more about how to find the right cameras with the low light capabilities, and I will share some of my experience, which I've been worked with some documentaries. I will share some of my works as well. Before that, we should understand the basics because nowadays the market trend and the demand was being completely different. The hybrid shooting style was being keep increasing in the period of time. So hybrid shooting style is nothing but both photo and video. Nowadays, people require a camera which it can do both photo and video. That is a basic requirement that everyone looking into. If you are a pro videographer or a cinematographer or a filmmaker who don't want to compromise any aspects of the video like sensitivity, dynamic range, and the color science, all other aspects, if you are taking as a serious business, so you have to select a camera like A7S3, FX3, and FX6, and to understand these aspects, let's touch upon the basics. Difference between the photography and the videography. This is a very serious business. You have to understand these basic things is very important because when it comes to photography, it's a single image you're going to click and you're going to process with that single image in the post with the Photoshop or the Lightroom. You want to make the changes, you want to do whatever you want with that single frame. That is going to be the your final product. But when it comes to videography, that is not the case because it's a motion picture, which means your camera is exposing 24 images per second. So if you do some error, if you miss something, if you want to correct something, so you want to correct each and every frame, which means 1 second it's 24 means just imagine if I do some error in this video, I want to correct each and every single frame, which is not an easy task. On the other end, if you want to purchase a camera for a photography, the first thing come in your mind is a megapixel. When it comes to a video centric cameras, the megapixel is not the count because no one takes that as a serious business. I have seen many people when I ask do we have a megapixel in a videography cameras, most of the people have been, yeah, do we have or not? Such kind of a reaction I used to receive in my workshops. We know the resolutions full HD 1920 1080, Ultra HD is 3840 to 2160, DCI 4K is 4096 into 160. We used to work only with this resolution but never care about these megapixel things in video. But video do have a megapixels. Yes, HD is a 2 megapixel and 4K is a 8 megapixel. But if you calculate this, most of the cameras in the industry with a 35 full frame sensor are come up with 24 megapixel, 33 megapixel, 40, 50, 60 kind of megapixels are available in the industry, which means those sensors are made for the photo, and also you can do video, but majorly photography related things are available in that for those particular sensors. But whereas Sony have released one camera which is called A7S. A7S is a, it's a game changing camera in the industry which has come up with a 12 megapixel. So there is a interesting calculation in this, why everyone need why what 12 megapixel, what we going to do with it. So now please watch it carefully. This is very important whenever you're choosing any camera for the low light. This is the first aspect that you have to keep in mind. If I take two 35 sensor, one sensor with 24 megapixel, the other sensor with 12 megapixel, the horizontal and the vertical line doesn't going to change because it's going to be similar in the 35 sensor. So if I align 24 megapixels in the same space of the 35 sensor, if I align the 12 megapixel with the same 35 sensor, if you see the difference between these two images, In this you can able to sign the pixel size was been slightly smaller when we look into 12 megapixel. Now with the same plane, if I place 12 megapixel, now my pixel size is getting bigger. So this is the biggest game changer that Sony have been come up with. So when the pixel size is getting bigger, automatically it can process more light. When it can process more light, automatically the low light capability will increase. When the low light capability increase, automatically the noise ratio will come down. When the noise ratio will come down, automatically the dynamic range improve. When the dynamic range is cool, so you don't need to worry, the color gradation will lift up. So now these cameras are made up for video centric. This is how these cameras are more powerful with this low light capabilities. That is why these cameras have come up with a 4,09,600 ISO. Sony doesn't stop over there. They have come up with the cinema line like FX3 and FX6. Let me share my experience with this FX3 and FX6 camera. One of the recent documentaries that I have been worked with these cameras, like it is all about the wildlife. We have done a documentary about particular snakes in the forest, and I want to convey my regards to Mr. Tillai Magadan. He is one of my best friend. This is his Insta ID. If you really wants to know about landscape and wildlife, or really want to know more about birds or something, please do follow him. He is the right person. Ping him, he will respond you. Okay. Yeah. Back to the story. When we reached the forest, it was not the day; it was night, and we want to trek into the forest for minimum I think 8 to 10 kilometers might be. So just imagine yourself in that situation. If you are trekking to 8 to 10 kilometers inside the forest in the night time, it is not easy to carry the 4 5 lights, and if you even carry those lights, it's not easy to lit up the entire forest. And we went inside and we carried FX3 with us, and FX6 24 1.4 and 85 1.8, sorry, 85 1.4 and 1635. These are the lenses that I have been carried with me. So I decided to test this camera's extreme low light condition, how it's going to work. So I set up a frame where it was an open space. I want to establish this forest with the proper dramatic shot kind of stuff. So this is Tillai Magadan who's on the frame. We planned this frame, and anyone guess what is the ISO that have been set for this particular frame? Can anyone guess? So the ISO which I'm using right now is 51,200 ISO. The one thing that I was surprised was the only light source that I've been using for this particular frame is two. One is on the back side of the subject, where I want to separate the subject from the background, lit up with a small LED light. On the other side, foreground, there was a fire which we made on purpose. So whenever I'm shooting with the 51,200 ISO, I have a in foreground I have a fire. It's supposed to be clipped, it's supposed to be overexposed, it's supposed to be burnt. It has a, so you can't able to see any detail over there, right? That is the basic thing that we used to work with. But still, my frame contains a data in that particular fire. Not only that, slightly come over here, just look into that. It is very far away. There was a cloud, the cloud details I'm getting, and the forest structure. This is what the low light. So this is what the situation you are in. So just imagine if you can do this kind of wonder with these cameras, so how beautiful it is. So this is how you want to select a camera in a proper way. So this is one of the example that I want to show you guys. In the I will make a video. In another video I will talk more about this particular trip. So this is a one thing that I've been surprised with these cameras. So please be very clear whenever you're choosing a pro video camera. This is the first criteria you have to keep in your mind.